All right, good morning everyone. My name's Amanda Bombassi. I'm from the Western Sydney Regional Organisation of Councils, and we're here this morning to talk about the very sexy topic of sustainable procurement. We have 4 speakers, and I'll ask you to hold all of your questions till the end, please, when we'll have a microphone roaming around to be able to capture them and to be able to ask an individual presenter or our panel. So first up this morning, we have Dr. Hardy, Razai and Charlie from Local Government Procurement. He'll be speaking to you this morning about navigating circular economy in procurement with actionable solutions for local government. So welcome, Hardy.
Make sure that it works. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Amanda, for the introduction. Hope you're enjoying the event so far. Yes, I'm very, very pleased to be here to share some insight from local government procurement in terms of circular economy, specifically in procurement for local government. What I'm going to cover today is how this one, the timing works, because still is 20. So I want to make sure that I can reach to exactly. Yes, now it works. What I'm going to cover today is just a bit of info about circular economy principles. I know you know more than me. And then some outlining some policies in Australia around this context. Specifically, later I'm going to talk about the role of procurement in circular economy. Some challenges that councils facing to go towards circular economy missions, and then at the end I'll outline some of recent innovation at LGP that we have done in terms of circular economy procurement. Just to give you a heads up, there are many slides, but majority of them are images. Unlike, as you know, again, you know about circular economy, unlike traditional model, circular economy focus on keeping the products and materials in the circle as long as possible to maximize the value and minimize the waste. And to me, the gist is about the attitude, is about the behavior that keep these 3 principles in mind when we are designing our product, when we are using our product, and finally we are disposing our product. This is just some of the few important documents in Australia. I think one of the most important one is Australian Circular Economy Framework, recently published actually last year, December, and it's quite interesting document aiming to double our circular rate by 2030. It includes 3 targets. And then when I checked all these documents, almost every one of them highlighted the importance of procurement in this context. For example, this is extracted from New South Wales Circular Economy Policy, Too Good to Waste. And as you could see, sustainable procurement is one of the key focus area supporting you to reach your circular economy goals. But how? This table shows some practical examples in terms of how procurement can make a significant impact in your circular economy missions. For example, in terms of policies and procedures, procurement departments can develop and implement some policies to encourage staff to assess the necessity before purchasing a new item. In terms of planning, procurement departments can support in terms of prioritizing leasing or rental option or sourcing second-hand. In terms of sourcing, procurement departments can prioritize or can add more weight to criteria such as durability, repairability, recyclability. In terms of contract management, procurement departments can support you by negotiating with negotiating within the contract with suppliers to support you and talk with suppliers that accept the return once the product life cycle is done. So as you can see, procurement can make a huge impact. And to my personal opinion, there is no circular economy without procurement. To support councils within this mission, here in this slide, I outlined some of the recent innovation that we have done in circular economy procurement. I will go briefly talk about each of them as time allows me to go on. So the first and second one is about researching and analyzing the market in terms of what would be the biggest challenges, what would be the recommendation to overcome those challenges. So we identified, and the findings were published in our white paper and also discussion paper. This is one of the findings that we identified, the biggest challenges that right now sector, in this case local government, is dealing with. And as you know better than me, again, lack of staff knowledge is the key one. And insufficient leadership support. I think this is the interesting one, as their role is very, very important and critical in terms of endorsing and securing resources while you are going to initiate your circular economy initiative. Cost, always a common challenge, and to me, it's not just for circular economy, for any new initiatives, cost would be one of the biggest challenge. And at the end, supply chain issues. And then we found that council staff mentioned that there are some strugglings to find some circular product and services in the market, in supply market. And then also, suppliers are not that much willing to go towards addressing these points. So what we did, to overcome these circular economy challenges, we offered 4 key actions to drive circular economy in councils. Each actions include a set of recommendations. I'm not going to go all of the recommendations, as they are clearly explained in our white paper and discussion paper publicly available via our website, LGP. But the most important one is developing a comprehensive training program. It's really, really important that this program is tailored to council's procurement staff. So what we did was we made a partnership with a leading company in terms of circular economy, Anvata. I think Mauri, their CEO, is here. And then to develop a training program. So what makes this program unique is about it focus on circular economy, local government, and procurement. So we are actually in this program, the content is designed to support you in embedding circular economy principles in procurement planning, how you can add it to your procurement plan, or how you can add it in your business needs analysis. In terms of sourcing, how you can add in your sourcing document, RFT, RFQ, and finally, how you can add in your contract management in terms of clauses and KPIs, and more importantly, how we can measure the impact. The second strategy here that was about market research for sustainable product and solution. Again, back to the challenge of struggling to find some circular product and solutions. What we did is that we created a circular economy filter tags in our contract panel. As you may know, LGP has around 35 contract panels, including around 1,300 pre-approved suppliers. So what we did, we created an RFI using, including the questions targeting different aspects of circular economy, such as recycling, reduce, repair, recycling, and so on. And then we sent to suppliers, our approved suppliers, we collected the information, assessed, and we gave them a badge. So this is a simple demonstration how it works. So imagine that a council staff wants to buy some laptops. They go to related ICT contract panels, buying laptops. And then what they usually can see is that, okay, after going through the process, it's a very easy process, we'll see a list of suppliers, around 50 suppliers, 2 pages, that can provide you laptops. However, what you can add is that, what we added is that we added this filter. So within this filter, you can see that, let's say council wants to, okay, I want to have laptops, and also I want to make sure that supplier accepts returns at the end of laptop life cycle. So you click return here, and here we are, the list of suppliers that not only give you laptops, but also they accept return. So you may use it for other like circular economy aspect that you could see here, and also in different contract panels. The second key action we would say is to promote executive leadership. It's mainly how you can get leadership buy-in, and I know it's pretty hard. One of the recommendations that we suggest is incorporating circular economy goals into strategic plans. Different strategic plan that you may have, community strategic plan, operational plan, specifically in local government and councils, climate change policy, biodiversity strategies. So having the sign and footprint of these circular economy principles in those high-level strategic documents can be really, really helpful once you go and present your business case to your executive team to get approval and endorsement for doing that. So what also LGP did, we took an interesting project that we reviewed community strategic plan, the environmental goals within the community strategic plan, and we found that waste has been mentioned as a #1 more frequent word across all 128 New South Wales Council's community strategic plan. We did another round of analysis, and then we found that these are the 5 key themes, environmental themes, across community strategic plan, and as you could see, waste management circular economy comes at the second. We did again another round of analysis on the data that we collected, and again you could see that waste, of course, the biggest one, and then circular economy here just emerging in this case. The next the next recommendation is actions about key performance indicators and reporting. You know better than me that if you cannot measure something, you cannot manage it. Yes? So it's really, really important that you measure the impact of your circular economy initiatives. So what we did is that to support council in this case, we created a measurement toolkit to support you to measure the impact of your circular economy related procurement policy and procedures, and also in their procurement process. It includes a set of indicators, criteria aligned with the Australian Circular Economy Framework and also ISO 59000. And then it's also interesting that you can also, it allows you to customize the weight based on the priority of your councils, because some councils goes for fixed rate, which is good, but the more accurate approach is that the weight should be flexible based on the priorities. Action 3 is more about managing costs. There are again some recommendation here. So the most important one I would say is looking for external funding sources. There are several external funding sources, EPA, DQ, they offered that, and also at LGP we are pleased to say that we also released our LGP Procurement Capability Grant program. It's released, I think the due date is 5th of June. So if you have something in mind and then you need financial support specifically in terms of your improvement or circular economy, please reach out to our BDM, reach out to our website. You can see more information about how you can apply for LGP grant. I think it's more than $150,000. Action 4. Is about how you can manage your supply chain. So there's again some recommendations here, but what actually I'm going to talk about it is really, really important is about supply performance evaluation criteria. This is critical because we have seen something in councils that yes, we embedded circular economy principles in your plan, in your procedures, in your policy, procurement framework, manuals. But in terms of the next step, which is the implementation, there is a lack of evidence that you can connect the next step, which is the sourcing process, to your planning process. So we have something in as a policy, but in terms of connection with the sourcing, it should be more to do. So supply performance evaluation criteria helps you to turn actually those policies and principles and goals that you had in mind and turn it to supplier selection evaluation process. So you can make sure that whoever suppliers, whatever, they come out of the evaluation process, they will be aligned with your policy. So what we did at LGP is that we significantly revised our tender evaluation process, and by adding sustainability, including circular economy in the procurement process. This is just one example from ICT contract panel recently released and enclosed. So you can see that these are the type of questions based on the specific type of category that we expect to see from suppliers. The next recommendation for this action plan is about supplier code of conduct. And again, to summarize, it's just more about all this recommendation is how you can be on the same page with your suppliers and how you can manage all the issues related to your supply chain. So supplier code of conduct is one of the, again, critical documents that you may have. This is an example that recently we published at LGP with all our pre-approved contractors. So really, really important in terms of clarifying the expectation and with your suppliers, because we get often some inquiries from suppliers that they say that we're not sure that what council expect us to do, or they ask us something very generic, and then we also provide something generic, and at the end we don't know how we can support them in this case. So it's really, really important in terms of your communication. This can be done in different ways. You can publish this one in your website. You can have a workshop. In your tender briefing session, for example, you can clearly explain about these type of documents. So which makes it very helpful in terms of being aligned and supporting your suppliers to be aligned with your process. I think I'm done. If you have got any question or concerns, I'm more than happy to answer your question. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Thanks, Hardy. Great work being done at LGP. Next, I'd like to invite up Danny Gallagher, who's the CEO of IQ Renew. He'll be speaking to us about what could be done to support industry in terms of sustainable procurement. Thanks, Danny.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out to attend this session, and hopefully at the end a call to action for what can be done to support the industry to pull through materials that we recover. IQ Renew, we are a group of people that run a leading circular economy recycling company. We're transforming how recyclable materials are processed. Through advanced sorting technologies and strategic partnerships, we create a more efficient recycling process and system that maximises the resource recovery and minimises the impact to our environment. We operate a number of primary and now secondary processing facilities, and the secondary processing facilities around soft plastic is really where we're going to spend the next few minutes talking about. This one first, SPEC. SPEC stands for Soft Plastic Engineered Commodity, just a play on an acronym and words. Very proud that late last year we stood up the first commercial soft plastics recycling and processing facility on the mid-north coast, just near Taree. The development of SPEC is about 5 years of determination and resilience with the team at IQ to separate that very complex household soft plastic into the streams that can be used by manufacturers in goods and services. I want to highlight the fact that it is the return to store, drop-off location, and more importantly, the bag and a bin curb your soft plastics. The soft plastics that we have at home, our bread bags, our chip packets, the everyday items that we're able to recover and transform into pellets and shred. A few of our values, traceability, is at our core. We want to make sure that we're able to communicate and show what's actually happening with the material from the time that it's procured, either it's a drop-off location, a bag and a bin, where it's recovered at a material recovery facility. A QR code goes on it. It then gets transferred to our spec, where it then gets logged, goes through, and then when we create the different product types, it gets a code that we can then communicate that back to residents, local government, industry alike, so that they can take that information and attach that to the products and services that they're offering. We're an Australian business, we're local, it's a local company. We're also trying to support other Australian manufacturers with materials so that they can build their businesses onshore. Value for money, as we build out scale, then obviously the costs become more efficient. Right now, we're very comparable to other recycled and virgin materials that are on the market. We are playing a positive environmental impact because we are diverting this material from landfill and our waterways and the land. There's some information that's now public, and I can speak about this. It's in an ACCC submission recently, but as of Anzac Day, the red cycle legacy material that was in WA, Queensland and New South Wales has actually been reprocessed at the Taree facility on the New South Wales coast, and that material is now being put into the circular economy for manufacturers to use. The buyback, which is the most important part. I love a prop. There's a couple of locally manufactured items on the chairs at the front there. And one at the moment that's very timely is the Fogo bin caddy, with it being mandated by 2030 for a national rollout of that. That particular bin caddy was manufactured here in Australia, and it was manufactured using 50% of the material that was sourced and provided as a pellet to the manufacturer here in country. So there's an incredible opportunity for local government to lean in through procurement and ask the question of their manufacturers, does their bin caddy contain recycled content? And if it doesn't, ask the question on how they can actually get that recycled content in it. We can be contacted at IQ Renew to point people in the direction of who the suppliers are that are using that material. You reach out to Annika Stott, our Group Project Manager. Wait, sorry guys. Short video.
Located on the mid-coast of New South Wales.
My name is Annika Stott and I'm IQ Renew's Group Project Manager. We're here today at our SPEC facility. SPEC stands for Soft Plastic Engineered Commodity. This is Australia's largest purpose-built facility for processing post-consumer soft plastic waste. Come inside, let's take a closer look. This is our receival floor, where soft plastics like food wrappers, cling film and plastic bags arrive at the facility through collection programs such as Curb Cycle and Return to Store pilot programs. Once here, the material is lifted onto a conveyor belt and it begins its journey to be transformed. This is advanced mechanical recycling in action. The first step is sorting. Here, the soft plastics go through a number of stages to be sorted into different polymer types.
We use magnets to extract metals
from things like citrus fruit bags.
Our optical sorters are trained to identify and separate materials based on their specific plastic types, such as LDPE, HDPE, and polypropylene. Materials with high chlorine content like PVC are extracted here.
The material is then sorted into different streams, which gives us various grades of plastic. For example, over here, this clean and clear white fluffy stuff is purely LDPE.
Next, the material is thoroughly washed and dried, and from here it can be extruded into flake or pellets ready for reuse.
Our extruders process up to 750 kilos of resin pellets per hour, turning the sorted material into a new product, resin pellets, which can be used by injection molders, chemical recyclers, it can be blown back into film. The possibilities are endless. Let's have a look at the resin pellets.
We produce three main products here at Spec: shred, flake, and pellets. These can be purchased by manufacturers to create new products. Some of our recycled material is used immediately to create products like fence posts, buckets, bags, boards, grids, and so much more. The benefits of using recycled soft plastics are real. We are showcasing what is possible in soft plastic recycling. We're supporting Australian manufacturing and we're creating local jobs.
At IQ&U, we're leading the way in soft plastic recycling.
Making a real difference for our environment and our community.
Join us. The time for action is now. The three main products, as Annika highlighted in the video, that we produce from the sorted post-consumer soft plastics in the top is the Spec pellets. The resin pellets are similar to virgin pellets. You could not tell the difference at site and can be used for film blowing. The Kirby bag at the front is made using 80% recycled soft plastic, and some of that soft plastic was sourced from the Spec. It can also be used for injection moulding, some intricate products that are up the front there, the baskets and the bin caddies. The Spec flake can be used for extrusion moulding. Extrusion moulding is like bollards and fence posts, so bigger items. Some of those items, I imagine, are used at local government around parks and can play a role to be pulled through. And then the Spec shred, the bottom one there, is a product that, as you move up, you turn it into a flake and up into a pellet. There's other operators around Australia who have washing and pelletising capability for their own manufacturing goods. So those three products there are ready and available now, and they are a primary feedstock for any of the manufactured plastic products that we procure and use in our everyday lives around plastic here in Australia. Our QR code along through our process ensures that there's transparency and that you can communicate that it's authentic, what's happening with it. We're in the final stages of being GRS certified, so Global Recycling Standards, which is a global recognised standard, which means that the manufacturers will be able to apply that to their products when they procure the material from Spec. Some items that can be made from products that we produce right now. The third one along is a construction pod, so expanded polystyrene foam that they use in the construction industry. That's made there of 50% of the Spec material and 50% of recycled polypropylene. Boards, so 2400 by 1200 construction boards that potentially contractors for councils use, could be requested that they use recycled content in their boards. Fence posts, school chairs, stadium seating, park seating. The inserts for bobbins, poles are on with some branded at the moment. Beg your pardon. Some trials are underway at the moment with actual packaging of non-food grade material like Detol's and toilet cleaners using the material from the spec. So that's really exciting. And I suppose our birth of what was possible was when we were picked out of a global search for scaling the recovery and the processing of soft plastics back in 2020 by Nestle. We partnered with several other organisations in the collection, the sortation of material that went on to make a recycled, packaged food-grade wrapper. That's over the horizon, chemical recycling, and we are providing material to North American and European chemical recyclers, meeting world's best standards for chemical feedstock for food-grade packaging coming back into Australia. So domestically though, this is me asking you to reach out to your local council, your procurement teams, to ask the question for goods and services that your teams are procuring for your residents. Is there a recycled content option? If so, mandate that or give it extra credits for procurement. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Danny. We do love a good show and tell, especially on day 3. Next, I'd like to call up Ian Dixon. Ian is the Technical Director of Sustainability and National Property Buildings Lead from GHD. He's going to talk to us to explain the Building Council of Australia's new Building Circular Procurement Guide. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, and great to be here. I'm not actually from the waste industry. This is my first waste conference, and my colleagues at GHD tell me they are a lot of fun, including the fancy dress evening, so I hope that went well last night. So before I get into it, I just want to introduce myself. So Ian Dixon, Technical Director and also GHD's APAC Sustainability Service Line Lead. Sorry, how do I move down the text? There's some more text I need to see on the screen. That's fine. My role at GHD is primarily involved in the design of new assets for clients, mainly buildings, precincts and infrastructure projects. And for those that don't know GHD, we're a professional services firm. We've been around now for nearly 100 years, originally started in Australia, but we're now a global company with over 11,000 staff in 160 offices across 5 continents, and we have a very strong regional presence in Australia, which we're quite proud of, including an office in Coffs Harbour. And today I'm here to talk to you about some work we've just completed with the Green Building Council. And that piece of work is called the Sustainable Procurement Guide for new buildings and major refurbishments. And just to give you some background about the guide, we've been working on this with the GBCA for approximately 2 years. It's been co-funded by New South Wales, Queensland and South Australia government, and also the Clean Energy Finance Corporation. The built environment sector, historically, there's been a big explosion in guidance on how to design circular buildings, but there's been very little information about what you actually need to do to procure your teams and the products and things that go into a circular building. And this is what this guide effectively aims to do, is bridge that gap in industry knowledge. So why is this important? As you're probably well aware, the built environment is a huge contributor to land use change, resource consumption, and climate change. So nearly 50% of global resources are currently consumed by new construction. And the sector is also responsible for close to 40% of global greenhouse gas emissions. The circular economy, the principles of circular economy have the ability to tackle all of these challenges simultaneously. And it does that by eliminating waste from the sector, keeping materials in use for as long as possible at their highest value. So the guide itself is structured around the life cycle stages of a building. So for each stage, you'll get clear guidance on what to do. And within the guide, we do include some circular economy fundamentals. And the reason for that is it's to enable someone who doesn't know anything about the circular economy to pick up this guide and get at least a base knowledge before they go through and understand how to procure a circular building. So the other important parts of the guide to make note of is we do also include a summary of the key circular strategies that can be employed in a building, both for design and construction. And then we've got sample procurement clauses that developers and teams can include in project briefs, documentation, and more importantly, in contract documentation. The guide also has case studies of current best practice with some example buildings in Australia that right now are adopting circular outcomes in their design and construction. And we've also got a series of appendices that contain additional information and links to a number of external resources. So one of the fundamental sections just does give an overview of circular building strategies. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but as a professional involved in that upfront design of things, what we're trying to do with our clients is actually design buildings in a way that either use less resources or, more importantly, where you do need to deploy resources for a building, is put them into a building in a way that can be they can be easily disassembled and recovered at the end of that building use. One of the key challenges in the construction sector now is that most buildings are not built to be taken apart readily. They have to be demolished mechanically, which makes recovering those materials and keeping them in a higher value use is challenging, and often things end up getting downcycled in most situations. One of the challenges of circular economy in general and in buildings is the sheer number of stakeholders who have a role to play in order to achieve a circular outcome. So, this starts with the developers and people that are procuring the building, which could include, obviously, local councils. We know you build a lot of your own assets. And it also includes professional services firms, and it also includes, obviously, demolition and waste handling companies who take materials out at the end of life. I just wanted to highlight, in particular, the role for councils. So when it comes to new development, I think councils have a really strong role to play, and we're starting to see some of this happen already in industry. But one key thing councils could do more of is incentivise developers to adopt circular practices, and that could be through things like giving them additional floor area or relaxing other planning controls in return for circularity outcomes. And then another key one will be increasing planning controls over time to encourage more developers who are perhaps not as motivated as some to do the right thing. But one thing councils can do through things like development control plans is include circularity requirements within those. For the waste industry, as I mentioned, we know you already work pretty hard to take materials out of buildings and recover and reuse them where possible. But what we're hoping is, as the construction sector starts to do more disassembly, that over time you'll evolve your business operations to be able to take more materials out and put them back into the market at a higher value use. The next couple of slides are just some extracts from the guide. So, as I mentioned earlier, the guide itself is structured around the different life cycle stages of a building. So that starts with the planning stage, you've then got the design stage, construction, operation, and then end of life and disposal. This is an example from the planning stage. And what we do here is we include details on who the key stakeholders are, what the key strategies are that you can employ at this stage. And then the really important bit is the core tasks. So these tasks essentially outline what the team need to do who are involved in the planning stage of a new building. And then the final bit is the stage deliverable. So these are all the things that need to be documented and then transferred to the team that then pick up the next stage of the project. There's a couple of call-out boxes on here that you can see as well. So each stage has its own page with this information. And what these call-out boxes do is just draw the reader to additional references or important points such as recognising that First Nations people inherently adopt circular practices within their way of life. This one is the procurement clauses. So again, this extract is for the planning stage. Typically what we have is examples of what you include in a project brief. For example, if you've got an existing building that you could potentially reuse, one of the key things to do is actually do an audit of the assets that you own and actually look to see if you can repurpose any of those rather than build new buildings. Mentioned earlier, we've got some case studies in here. So these are three examples. These were developed in collaboration with the government partners, and they were selected because they had adopted one or more circular strategies. So the first one is United on 2nd in Adelaide. The strategies adopted for this building were designing it for future disassembly, so the materials could be easily recovered, and this is something that we call using buildings as a material bank within the industry. The second one is Midtown Centre in Brisbane. This was an adaptive reuse of an existing building, so minimised the use of resources. And then the final one is Bradfield City Centre, which is a new city that's been developed in Western Sydney, near to Western Sydney Airport. This is a New South Wales government building who spent a lot of time designing this building to be flexible and modular so they can change its function over time without having to do too much disruptive demolition and remodification works. It also uses design for disassembly, so all the structure is timber with bolted connections and can be removed and taken apart at end of life. So a few closing remarks. The circular economy transition provides, in my view, a fantastic opportunity to solve the joint challenges of climate change, biodiversity loss, and waste caused by the building sector. Solving this challenge will require collective action, including from many of you in the room, if we're going to make this a reality. And the guide hopefully fills a bit of a gap in industry knowledge and helps people actually get on with that transition in the building sector. If you're interested, you can download a copy using that QR code. Thanks for your time, everyone.
Thank you, Ian. Great case studies there. Okay, next I'd like to invite up Mayuri Wijayasundra. I probably didn't say that right, sorry about that. She's the Chief Executive Officer of Envata and speak to us about circular procurement in practice is easier than you think. Thank you very much.
Point here when I change slides. Alrighty, excited to be here today and speaking to you about circular procurement. And I wasn't sure whether my photo would be displayed here, and I crimped my hair last night, so I had to kind of undo that before I come here so that I could be recognized. Alrighty, where do we start? I thought of giving a short introduction about what we do. So we are a consulting practice. We have an education, research, and a consulting arm in our organization. The broad theme we operate under is to help companies to organizations, public and private both, adopt circular practices and move towards that model. But more specifically, we are specializing in helping alternatives towards a circular economy become competitive in markets. So when I say alternatives, it could be products, technologies, materials, secondary materials, all of that. All of these areas, there's a few sort of propositions and services, but I'll probably talk a little bit more about the education capacity building. We are building a course hub which has short courses and micro-learning modules, which helps educate about circular economy, different sort of transition aspects to professionals. So the angle we take is that in moving towards a circular economy, a lot of professional areas need to be upskilled, cross-skilled, or reskilled. And sometimes there are skill extensions, sometimes you have to learn something new, sometimes there are new foundational skills to be built. So each sort of module and learning pathways are built around that. So in my previous life, I've been a university academic, tenured academic, leading a research group in circular economy. So a lot of what I did before have also sort of, as an educator, has helped me basically build this. On the transformation and activation side, specifically on circular procurement, we are building tools that help you measure progress, help you the level of maturity that your organization is in, and at the same time, a lot of tools on measurement, helping with measurement. The areas that I used to research on was measuring complex alternatives to a circular economy. So once again, a lot of my previous research experience I have used to kind of build some of these. Alrighty, moving towards our topic. That's a short introduction about us. I thought I'll start with the word circular procurement. I'm usually a bit against using circular as an adjective or like in front of a noun or a verb. It sometimes oversimplifies or distorts the meaning. So the right technical word is procurement towards a circular economy, but it's kind of shortened as circular procurement. And a lot of us think that, I mean, the general tendency of sort of our mind goes to the fact that we are promoting use of products with recycled content or adoption of recycled content in products. Or we are using or searching for a somewhat sustainable alternative of another product to replace a product. So my thinking about this is that there are minor subsets of what we call procurement towards a circular economy. They are part of it, but they're not all of it. It's much broader than that, because what we intend to do is to promote a larger outcome, inducing like a systemic change. And in doing that, we are questioning and challenging the fundamentals of how we do procurement. So it's as sort of procurement professionals or circular economy champions, especially in public sector organizations, this questioning and challenging of the fundamentals play a big role in changing the procurement process. So 3 things I thought I'll talk about. Can't read my own things. First thing, challenging the demand. Some of the easy things you could do at your own sort of, within your own sort of work horizon to make it a bit different and adopt circular procurement practices. Second one, enhance systemic change through collaborative contracts. Third one, encourage life cycle thinking evaluations. So some case studies and examples I thought I'll share with you. So the first one, challenge the demand. And what are some of the very basic questions, like fundamentally, if you challenge something very fundamentally, when you need to buy an item, what's the first question you would ask? No, even before that? do I need it? And then, is this what I need? So you challenge the fundamentals to that level, to question that, question your own need, and asking, am I actually searching for what I am searching for? And this would kind of divert you to different sort of angles. So you kind of expand your conceptual thinking process of what you think about it, and you start asking different questions. You tend to understand then that you are expecting a certain outcome of a product, and this product is a vehicle to get there. And then when you understand that utility, we call in the economic language, against the product that provides it, it helps us to open up another set of options. And that's the fundamental rethinking that we need to do when we do procurement towards a circular economy. So I have one example here. Right. I took the example of purchasing an air conditioner. So our general tendency, our air conditioner is, let's say, broken or outdated or need to be replaced. The general sort of, our tendency would be to say, yeah, let's buy something which is a bit more energy efficient. Or let's replace it with another one, and later newer version. So that's basically replacing the old product. Same units, better efficiency. If you go for another sort of level of challenging, you might find that, look, I'm actually not looking for an air conditioner. What I really need to have is conducive environment to stay in a certain space and the temperature to be within a certain range to make me comfortable. That's my fundamental human need. And I might be able to achieve it by using things like passive cooling and heating, insulating the room, replacing windows, change the orientation of the room. There are other alternatives that could open up for you. And going back to the original question, if I need thermal comfort when I'm in the room, buying an air conditioner is not my first sort of thing to purchase. I may be able to purchase it as a service. There's a company who comes and installs an air conditioner. With a smart device, they estimate the number of people in the room, adjust the temperature remotely or with an in-device unit, and has better heating efficiency. When something is broken, they go and repair it, replace the components, and keep running it. So they basically own the equipment they have control of the value chain that produces it and manufactures it and repairs it, which helps them to keep it longer in life, and I'm accessing their services to get it. So when you kind of open up new options like that, you would understand that you don't have to own products or buy products to get services of it. And that's the type of thinking we want to open up in procurement for a circular economy, where we would access products rather than buy products. So this is a classic example. I took the example from City of Bremen on car services, but I remembered that we actually have more relatable examples in Australia. Has anybody come across the car company called GoGet? Yes, users of it? I'm a big fan of it. So for the first time in my life, I am trying to be without owning a car now. I moved where I lived recently, and I have access to GoGet. And I evaluated my needs of needing transportation services. It's very ad hoc and irregular. I need sometimes in a weekend to drop off my son for a play date or go and see a relative. I don't travel regularly for work. I go for client visits, and I might be able to do with GoGet. So if you haven't heard about GoGet, you know that there's the option of owning a car, parking in your own garage, and using it. Then there's the other options of taxi and Uber, where you call the service, you call the car service and the driver, and you're a passenger. So GoGet is something in the middle. So I'm not getting any kickbacks from GoGet for promoting them. It's just a service concept. So expense-wise as well is somewhere in the middle. There are cars parked like this. So if a city wants to sort of provide a car as a transportation service as a service, there are parking bays allocated for this type of cars. You have a card when you get membership. When you become a member, you are charged per kilometer usage and per hour, some sort of a formula. You go and tap the car. You book the car first online if you want it for 2 hours or 3 hours. You go and tap the car. It opens up. You drive wherever you want and go and park back there. And you're charged for that amount. So something similar here. you want to expand your transportation services, buying vehicles, expanding your fleet is one option, and this the other option, opening up for new type of service options. Yeah? So that's what City of Bremen did. They integrated that to their public transit system by allocating spaces, by integrating in new housing developments, integrating with public transport. So you can basically, with when you say Google Maps, you could get these options open on where things are. So getting it integrated into city development and the transportation services system. One example. Can I move on? Yeah, so I thought of sharing with you what you could do. This type of options don't come naturally. It might be good to have workshops, ideate, talk about them, open up for new thinking among other people in your organizations. And sorry, there's something wrong with the slides. It's the same thing appearing. And probably ideate and come up with options. Having tools to evaluate them is another one. Sometimes you can do a conceptual feasibility study. Sometimes you would be able to do a more quantitative, with numbers type of assessment. These options against that options, not just sometimes evaluating the monetary impact, financial impact, but also the additional environmental benefits that come with them. So that's number one. Going to the second one, encouraging life cycle thinking in evaluations. So these are easy, low-hanging fruits I'm sharing with you that you could do. Typically, when we buy something, we have, what we come across is the price of a product. We call it in economic language, acquisition cost, which is what we pay to own something. Get the product, I give you money, you give me the product. But with the product, we actually buy a set of costs as well. That's the cost of owning it. So cost of owning it include acquisition cost, commissioning, trading people, installing something, maintaining it, if it's a vehicle, use of fuel, all of that operating cost, and at the end of life costs. We often don't see all of them, we only see the purchase price. Because a lot of the times, if it's, for example, a major capital asset, acquisition cost will go from your CapEx budget, but operational costs and all the other costs will go from other council or organizational budgets. But for the organization, all of this is your whole of life cost. So to capture this, we have a concept called cost of ownership, where you actually estimate and envisage this at the time of purchase. So this is an example where you compare a bollard made of recycled plastic and made of wood. Recycled plastics is more expensive to purchase, but the wooden bollard is less expensive, though it has to be replaced a few times within that life of a plastic item. So with cost of replacement comes the cost of disposal, cost of decommissioning, cost of disruption of service, etc., etc. And if you finally calculate the total cost of ownership, sometimes some of those expensive items, which are a bit more durable, actually have a better whole of life cost. So what you could do, educate, this is just one concept, which is quite simple. Educate your teams on these concepts are available, help them use it, design internal systems so that different departments do collaborative sort of meetings in purchasing, set up this criteria, integrate into your internal system of thinking, create tools to measure them. Some of this can be done with simple Excel tools. So having that proper training in the beginning, it helps you adopt them very easily. And then transition to using these in new vendor evaluations, when evaluating vendors for vendor panels or specific procurements, integrate them into your practice. So awareness and knowledge that these are there and that can be used, I think is the very first one to start with. Encourage collaborative thinking in procurement. Another example, I'll probably skip this because of time. So I'm taking an example of a Dutch network, energy network called Oleander. They are purchasing uniforms, and if you want to actually promote circular economy outcomes in uniforms, you usually buy it from a producer. Producer might be employing a designer. If you want to have better outcomes to the circular economy, ideally, a producer needs to collaborate with a company who repairs, cleans, or consider their design inputs in the process of design. But generally, they are not incentivized to do it. Why should they do it when they can sell it to someone without having to do it? So what Oleander did was to have a preferential criteria for suppliers who actually collaborate and co-design with these parties. So what they want to do is for Oleander to kind of have a collaborative network of suppliers, consult them, work with them, make your design better, show us the way that you would collaborate and produce a better outcome as a system. And with that, you get preferential treatment as a supplier in our procurement evaluation. So outcomes were great. They had a multi-actor collaboration during tendering, like providing preference for that. And so designers, manufacturers, washing, repair services providers, recyclers. That collaborative alliance was the one who kind of won the contract. I think the outcomes are great in terms of inducing change in a system. So all this is about not just picking a product and buying just because it's slightly better, but rather moving towards changing a bigger system through contractual terms, administrative way of managing it, and evaluation. Alrighty, what could you do? This type of engagement has a long and complex, sometimes, engagement phase with suppliers. You need to educate suppliers, hold forums, connect service providers with suppliers, help those collaborative partnerships form. So there's pre-work to be done in that. Design collaborative sort of system-oriented purchasing tenders. That's the second thing. And then to evaluate these, you need new evaluation criteria as well. So these are some of the things you could consider integrating into the way of purchasing. All right, those are my 3 points. I thought I'll end it with a few things that you could sort of participate in our community and network. So we are running courses on procurement for a circular economy for public professionals, procurement professionals, and also for circular economy champions. We've done this as a public course, as well as trained some of the government sustainability agencies like Sustainability Victoria, like their team on circular procurement. So some of these courses are open, kind of run from time to time. And I'll share with you our next offering at the end. And currently, we kind of develop a lot of content to educate public sector organizations and also corporates in this area. So currently, I think Hadi mentioned that we have a partnership with LGP to develop this course for circular economy for the procurement function. And we are also in partnership with Deakin University, entering into a partnership with Deakin University to make it available via a platform called Future Learn globally. So it's a non-credit-bearing micro-credential to access through Deakin University, and probably we could explore more credit-bearing micro-credentials where it's integrated into the higher education curriculum. And our next public course, this is basically aimed at circular economy champions and professionals in public and private sector organizations. It's running next month, so feel free to get in touch with me and talk to me if you'd like to join or are interested in joining this community. We run webinars in this area as well, so yeah, happy for you to become a part of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayuri. Wonderful to hear higher order hierarchy principles being talked about in circular procurement that is so often overlooked, so that's wonderful. I'd like to invite the other 3 speakers to join us up on the stage, please. And if anybody has a question, please raise your hand. If you're online, please pop them in the app. You can do so and we can read those out to our presenters so those questions are asked. Do we have any questions? Yeah. Just start down the front here. And can you just start by introducing yourself?
Yes, hello. My name is Rachel McIntyre. I work at Inner West Council, and my question is for Dr. Hadi. I wanted to know, is there any form of due diligence undertaken by LPG to validate the claims from different suppliers that they tick all these relevant CE, circular economy activities?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, some part of due diligence, we do that. So as I mentioned in the presentation about the RFI that recently we released, and we collected the information. So some suppliers, they got based on our due diligence and the information that they provided. So what we actually assess them, we call it as a starting point. So based on the information that they provide, it was a list. So we went through all their explanation about the specific circular economy solutions that they offer. We check their website if they provided any attachment in terms of evidence or certification. Some of them, they may have a GECA certificate or something like that. So we went through one step further to see that if they say, yes, we offer that, we need to find some evidence. And as I said, it's mainly based on the publicly available information data. And then usually based on the a contract panel, as you know, probably LGP, that we do this sort of a due diligence. And then, as we usually say, it's just a starting point for councils. So the next step for councils to go and then see that, yes, this supplier, let's say, have a potential to offer, and they said that they offer that. So the next step would be more detailed discussion from councils and suppliers in terms of what actually includes in that specific circular economy aspects. I hope I could answer your question. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andrew Ward-Harvey from Northern Beaches Council. Also to Dr. Hadi, on that front, is it just criteria that you can look up to see if they meet reuse or recycling content and the like, or is there a list of certified suppliers that you're listing on the panel?
About the filter tag that I mentioned.
Well, more than a filter tag. So for us, that's really useful and we know what we're looking for, but if we're thinking about someone in our transport and infrastructure team, the easiest thing would be to say, here's a list of 5 suppliers that you say are reasonable, that you're looking to further, that can do timber or whatever.
Yes, the part of the based on, as I mentioned, this filter tag is included to across many contract panels. So based on the specific context of that panel, we designed and tailored the question based on that. So if you see, if you're looking for a fleet panel, let's say, and then you go and then you see that there are some filter tags available and supplier said yes, that means that we already confirmed at the basic level. So yes, would be as I said, good starting point that you see that these are the potential suppliers. So later, maybe in your based on your supplier selection criteria, and the reason that we came up with this way that each councils may have their own priorities, and priority for me means selection criteria. But for us, it just give you a potential that these are suppliers who said yes, and these are the suppliers that said no, we don't offer any sort of circular economy solution. So it's a one step further for you in terms of RFI, and now based on your specific priorities, you can go further and discuss.
Through the filter?
Yes, through the filter tags, yes.
That's right, yep.
Thank you.
And just a brief other one, hopefully, to you, Ian. So we're doing a lot on trying to get more circular design of buildings and for new builds in the Northern Beaches, but it's really hard to find the line between guidance and mandating. And I'm just wondering, and knowing the DC PLEP process and things, how you might recommend transitioning businesses over a period to get to that, where it's common practice to actually adopt those principles for circular design.
Okay, so is your question related to modifying your DCP for people building in the Northern Beaches? I know your DCP probably contains some requirements already maybe for use of recycled materials. I think as a starting point, you could probably have a look at what the Greater London Assembly have done. So they require all new developments to provide a statement on circularity. Also, requiring people to justify why they're building new, which may be probably a step too far for Australia right now. I think when it comes to incentivisation, particularly for bigger developments, it's quite common. I've seen in the City of Sydney will sometimes offer developers increased floor area or NLA in return for higher sustainability performance. So you could think of incentivising people through relaxing planning controls in some areas. And then I think the remainder would just be to start, when you next update your DCP, introduce some circularity principles that proponents need to respond to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ian, following on from that, we're seeing a watering down of local council DCPs in New South Wales and bigger development apartments and commercial going through a state planning system. What would you recommend to state consent authorities in terms of amending their controls? And is there a particular state that's doing this well?
I think, I don't know about other states. I know obviously in New South Wales, they've introduced the sustainable buildings set for development and state significant development. That includes at the moment requirements around embodied carbon. There's a lot of overlap between, if you deal with embodied carbon in a building, you're by default adopting some elements of circularity strategies. But I think the next evolution for state government will be to increase the circularity requirements. The state government in New South Wales have issued guidance for major infrastructure. So for some of their own developments, they're starting to introduce requirements right from the business case around circularity. So I would expect that will eventually sort of trickle down into other state policy.
Do we have any more questions? Arvin.
Hi, Arvind Lal from ProLead Plus Consulting. Want to say good examples put forward by Maori about the GoGet. You probably should have got some shares in it before you talked about it. I'm actually considering downsizing my big SUV to GoGet now. Maybe I should say upgrading, not downgrading. But my question is for Daniel on the specifications and the Australian standards, perhaps for the product that you're talking about and some of the tenders that might come out from councils. Is there Australian standards that local government would be specifying and the products would meet? And the other question is the supply chain. I mean, like, if there's a big demand for, if a council is going to buy a product like those caddies and, they're going to be, say, 50, 60,000 of that, is there capability to produce such with the recycled material that we are going to specify?
There is right now capability to produce enough resin to meet a percentage of recycled content in the bin caddies. It'll be a staged rollout, my understanding is, not just obviously in New South Wales, but other states and territories. To put it into perspective, when RedCycle collapsed a couple of years ago at its scale was 7,000 to 8,000 tonnes was being collected nationally. The piece of infrastructure that we have stood up in just north of Taree is capable of doing approximately 14,000 tonnes, so nearly double the capacity of what was being collected previously. A good point on about confidence of having quality material. The bin caddy in front of me here was a result of working with moulding manufacturers here in Australia. Their first question was around the quality, and then their second one was around the consistency of being able to maintain that quality, but then the volume to meet the market demand when those new products, were accepted and then embraced by other, users. So the short answer is yes. We're absolutely ready at IQ Renew to meet the call to action of local government to reach out to their manufacturers of certainly these FOGO bin caddies. The testing is done. That one sitting beside me is one of two that we're allowed to bring here, 50%. It meets the drop tests and the collapsible tests. And the other really cool thing is at the end of this bin caddy's life, it can be brought back in, processed and turned back into a pellet and then go back into either another bin caddy or another item. So yeah, we're absolutely ready. And I want to highlight the fact that it's soft plastics is really the focus for us at the moment, is building that strong market pull-through and demand for the resin pellets, that spec pellets that you saw. Yep, ready.
Thank you.
Annika Stott's our group project manager, so please reach out to her.
Just in regards to the Australian standards, there are no Australian standards, and we are the only company currently manufacturing this product with post-consumer, so we're sort of setting the standard. So we want to understand from councils what you need to put into your procurement tenders and how we can work with you so we can really identify, you know, that this product in marking criteria really stands, up there as a product that, you know, that is easy for you to procure, and everyone understands why we're using soft plastics in things like FOGO caddies. The other opportunity is opening up the doors to councils to process their recycled soft plastics if there is a buyback commitment. So looking at lots of different civil applications, etc.
Great, thanks, Annika. Question over here next.
Hello, I'm Tiffany from the Northern Territory Government. My question is for Mayuri. In those last slides, you sort of talked about the design and engaging what we can do and engaging with our suppliers early and engaging with our procurement teams early to sort of brainstorm. When you have been researching this, is there any streams of purchasing where you see some low-hanging fruit or a lot of movement in that more strategic, how to procure with end of life in mind?
I think based on sort of one of the key ways to identify the criteria, like what categories to focus on, the best would be to look at your spend critically. So if there are 2 or 3 categories accounting for 70% of your total budget, maybe those are the ones to sort of focus on. So it's more kind of, it drives you in the right direction because a small impact in that area would actually make a big difference. What I find with some of those engagement points is that the external engagement is one aspect, but the internal engagement with your own teams is one aspect. So getting that initial buy-in by like who's coming on the technical evaluation panels, who's coming on the financial evaluation panels. Do we need specialized expertise in some of those panels, and do people in the financial evaluation panels are able to look at other aspects of whole organization cost of this purchase? So I think that prior engagement with sometimes upskilling internal teams matter a lot before you go to the external part. External part, one of the key points also is that if you're procuring a product, let's say a construction sort of, let's say a building, and it's a big construction sort of facility, and then you have multiple components and other sort of big purchases happening. We kind of think of it as that, but if you're able to see the services that come alongside it to make it either durable or keep longer in use. So there's product supplies is one aspect, complementary service suppliers is another aspect. The problem that we see is that we kind of think of engaging one party, but don't see the value addition that party gets from other services to make something happen. So encouraged collaborative engagement should be with complementary product or service supplier. So, for example, a new material innovation party can be kept in touch with a university or a material research sort of company, innovation company. So they can work together and make something happen, but just procuring our services from material supplier and getting them engaged might not be enough if you want to make a bigger change. That's, yeah.
So like a supply chain ecosystem, sort of like
Yeah.
the example of the workwear.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
If you like to see some of these collaborative sort of innovation procurement, City of Greater Geelong has a knowledge base, a free knowledge base available for councils. I think Tina Procurement is the person who's sort of kind of made a lot of, she's coordinated that effort of innovation procurement that happened to the council. Browse her name and get in touch with her. She has a free e-learning modules available for public sector as well on innovation procurement. And they have gone through this journey of having that collaborative engagement early on with suppliers to make an innovation happen. So there's a lot of knowledge base you can access from them.
Thank you.
Go to Michael on the side.
Hi, Danny and Annika. Michael Neville from Hornsby Council. I know we've been talking separate to this, but totally understand, in theory, if we could get you X tonnes of soft plastics per year from Hornsby Council, get it up there. I totally understand your need for buyback and to stimulate that whole market side of things. Is there a set proportion or amount of, say we were getting 100 tonnes a year, is there a set proportion that the buyback amount would be? And is it potential for there to be credits? Say we bought 50,000 caddies, that covered 3 years' worth of supply. How would all of that sort of stuff work?
Yeah, good question. Look, I think case by case, working with councils, with what their procurement desires were, so if it was bin caddies, and then putting you in touch with the couple of organisations that have tried our material for the bin caddies, looking at the tranches of bin caddies that you would buy. The 100 tonnes, though, to put it into perspective, is less than 2 weeks' worth of processing capability for us now with this infrastructure. But we'd work closely with any council, and we welcome councils to reach out. What Annika touched on before, that 100 tonnes, what mechanisms can we use to support you with goods and services that you're procuring now, and how can we provide your manufacturers with potentially some of this product to defray or offset that cost for you. So we're ready for it. Hornsby Council, plenty of residents. I think that your bin caddies just alone would offset that 100 tonnes of soft plastics.
Thanks.
Is there another question down the front here? No? Any other questions? Just as we finish up, you've presented so many different things we need to do to work towards circular procurement. Could you outline, there's a lot of councils in the room and quite a few state government people too, what's the one thing you would recommend for the highest impact to change? I'd like to go to each of you. I'll start with Ian though. What would be your one thing for the highest impact? Up into the microphone so online can hear.
I think lead by example, and any new asset that you're procuring, be that road, new landfill infrastructure, waste transfer stations, whatever it might be, garbage trucks, I think, procure circular, design and operate circular.
Mayuri?
I think you got to, if you ask the same thing, you get the same answer. So you kind of train people to ask different and new questions, and that opening up of that horizon will only come with capability building, new examples. You see things differently, and you kind of get at least 1 point from that. You'll ask a different question next time. So yeah, capability building is my top pick.
Just do. What's demonstrated is that it's real, it's now. You could reach out to your manufacturers and request that they have recycled content in the products that they provide to your council. I can't stress highly enough that that's real, it's physical, it's now. So reach out and ask for recycled content in your goods.
Collaboration, I would say, is really, really important, as all of you mentioned. And you could see some, like a discussion, dialogue between suppliers and customers. So this is really, really key part that you feel that, yes, if you want to start, it looks a bit complex, but you're not alone. This is something that we need to know. So collaboration, clarifying your expectation with your suppliers, if you're working in the councils, would be the biggest, I think, step that you take. Yeah.
Wonderful. Please thank me in joining Hattie, Danny, Mayuri and Ian. Lunch is downstairs in the restaurant. The next session will finish at 2 o'clock, and don't forget to visit the exhibitors before they pack up. Thank you.